So first and foremost, what is Chrome? Okay, we've heard the term Chrome. It is the name of the web browser on your Android phone or your Chrome laptop. It is also downloadable on other operating systems like computer, iPads, iPhones, iOS, Mac computers, things like that. So it's basically just your web browser. It's what you use to get on the internet, okay? It can, like I said, be downloaded on all iPhone devices, all iOS computers, and of course, Windows. If you don't already use Chrome, it's something you should consider using. So we're going to focus on this. Okay, so the web browser is legitimately just the application that's used to access the web. Okay, that's all it is. It's whatever that interface entails. If you guys remember all of the different iterations, this is what you have, or just about everybody is familiar with and has been familiar with for decades. Internet Explorer, that's what comes preloaded with Windows. Okay, it's come with Windows, I think, since Windows 7 all the way up. Okay. Windows in Windows 10 updated to Edge, which was their new operating system, or their new browser, I should say. They are phasing Internet Explorer out pretty much completely, mainly because of a variety of security issues, just outdated technology, things like that. But Internet Explorer is very quickly being phased out. If you still use it, do not use Internet Explorer. In fact, very many websites you access don't support it anymore. You have to switch to Edge or Chrome or Firefox, Opera, Safari. If you are an Apple user, you know Safari. That's Apple's browser. So with all of these options, and you have the top three, in all honesty, are Chrome, Opera, and Firefox. Excuse me, Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. Opera is there, but it's not there. Those are the top three. Safari, because it comes preloaded on Apple. Chrome, because it comes preloaded on Android. And almost 80% of all internet access now is used by mobile devices, not on your computers anymore. Predominantly, very many people still do, but the majority of internet traffic is done on a device, on a wireless device. So what is the main reason to use Chrome versus anything else? Okay, number one, in my opinion, it's convenience. Whatever you have is whatever you're going to use. Okay, so if I have an Android phone and it comes loaded on my Android, I'm going to use it. The other reason I make a personal choice is the interface, how it looks, how it acts, how it walks. I like the way Chrome looks and walks and talks. I don't like the way Safari looks and walks and talks. I don't like the browser bar, the address bar, to be on the bottom of the screen like in Safari. Don't like it. I don't like it's hard to tab browse in Safari. Everything you open opens a new tab in Safari, so you end up with hundreds of open tabs and things like that. We'll cover the tabs. But for general, Chrome is a faster operating system. It's much smaller, more compact, so it can run programs faster. It is a simpler operating system in terms of browser usage than some other browsers out there. Edge for Android and Edge for Apple, not very simple. They're not very robust because they're so, it's hard to write that code, but they're not very simple. In general, Chrome is going to have better security and better privacy. That, when I say in general, I mean specifically because you, as we said last week, or last month, I should say, you control your privacy and security. Don't ever let an app or a device ever control your privacy and your security. That's all on you. So what you do on the internet is all up to you. You put on the internet what you choose to share with the world. You don't want to share it with the world, don't put it on the internet, okay? That's as simple as that. Now, there are caveats to that. You can do things on the internet that cannot be seen by anybody but you. Most of those are like your banking sites and your pictures and things like those can't be shared by anybody. But just be aware, if you are doing something online, you need to pretend in your head, everybody can see this, so I'm going to take the steps necessary to protect myself, okay? Customization is one of the things I like. Not only can you customize the safety and security settings, the personalization settings, but also you can customize the colors and the designs and how things look, and I like that. You'll actually see with a couple of examples, I have 3 different primary Google accounts. I have a Google account for my personal use. I have a Google account for the Google Gaggle, and I have a Google account for my personal HOA, where I live, because I'm on the board. I made those interfaces different colors so I would know where I am based on what I was doing. If it's no color, that's my personal account. If it's blue, that's my HOA. If it's yellow, it's Google Gaggle. So if I'm saving something to my drive, or I'm saving a password in my memory or something like that, I'm going to do it based on the account that I'm in. And speaking of that, your Chrome saves your history, of course, your browsing history, where you've gone, what you do, and your preferences. So if you save things like your favorites, or what Internet Explorer used to call your bookmarks, Google calls them favorites. Then you just star it and it remembers that website, so you can go back and say, go to my bookmarks and click on that. Or it'll be on the bookmarks bar that you can just tap on it, wherever you like to do. I love Chrome because it will save passwords, it can autofill addresses, it can autofill name information, and it can also autofill your payment information. So I have my credit card saved on my Google personal profile. I have my home address, my billing address, and I have my passwords. Every password I've ever had in my life is saved in Google Chrome. When I go to that website and it asks for my username and password, I just tap on username and it pops up my username and password and says enter here, and it enters it. If it's asking for my credit card information, I tap credit card, it automatically enters it in and says pay with what I have on file. If it's an address, it automatically autofills the address from whatever site I'm in. Again, that is because I trust it and I initiated security to make sure that I can't get out. One of the ways I secure that is because it's two-factor authenticated. Nobody can log into my personal Google account without my phone. If you don't have my phone with my phone's password, you can't get into my Google account. You can't even see my Google email address unless you have my phone. So you have to put in a special code, and when I go on online, I have to put in a special code, and then it sends my phone, hey, somebody's trying to access your account. Is that you? I enter my password and I say, yes, it is. And then it lets me on Google. So if anybody tries, I get notified right away. So my credit card information saved in Chrome and Chrome only, great for me. My address saved in there, very easy. All of my saved data is saved very easy, because if I do something on my phone and I save information and I use it, when I go to my computer, it's saved there too. When I go to my iPad, it's saved there too. Android, Windows, Apple, all three have the same data because they're all synchronized with Google Chrome. So it doesn't matter what device I'm on, my information is saved. Now here's the safety part of that. If you've ever received an email from your bank that says, please verify your login information because we have some whatever. So you click on the link and you type in your username and you type in your password and it says, no, I'm sorry, this is information, please enter it again. Username, here's my password, do it again. You're not at the bank's website. You're somewhere else. This is why we've told you for years and years and years, don't click on links. That's why. It's because you go to that website and you type in that information, all you're doing is you're giving your actual username and password to the company that actually runs that website, which is some fraudulent group in some country out of the United States because it's illegal here. The way this prevents that, it doesn't matter whether I click on a link or if I go to wellsfargo.com. If the website is not real, if it's not the actual website, my information will not auto-populate and it won't put that data in. If it's wellsfargo.com and it just looks like Wells Fargo, but it's not really, and I go to click on that link, the computer goes, that's not the same address. That's not right. It's not what it should be. So it won't populate my address. I do not manually enter my information into any site. I let Google do it, because if Google says it's not the right site, it won't enter the information. So that's my level of security, that I know that website is real. It has to be. And these websites can be hundreds of characters long in their address, because wellsfargo.com is a domain. That's not the address. The address is actually 1.27825.212, and it goes on like pi forever, right? That's the real address. Google knows it. So there are people, and I say people, there have been reports, excuse me, of companies that have created fake websites, and the URL, the website address, is the same. But when you hover over it, then you see all the different stuff that it really is and isn't the right one. Google knows the difference, and it remembers that stuff. So that's just an idea. That does not mean you have to save everything in the world to Google and start saving passwords. It just means, for the simplicity and ease, when I go to a site, I don't have to put in passwords. I click, 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 and it's done. I don't have to remember all the different passwords you have to have for every site. I don't have to do any of that. I save it in Google. I can access them through Google. I can see my passwords in Google. I can delete passwords that I need, that I don't need anymore. I can do all of that, and I'll show you where all that is. In Chrome, yes. And now, when I say Google, the reason, that's an excellent question. Why do I say Google instead of Chrome? Because in the broad spectrum of Google, Chrome is Google. Gmail is Google. YouTube is Google. So when I say, I'm talking about the information that's stored in my Google account that is shared with Chrome, because Chrome is a Google product, it works across all of the Google suite. Google Drive, Google Video, and everything, because all of that data, my passwords, my user, my stuff, that's saved in Google Drive. If you remember that class we had about Drive, that Drive is basically your storage unit. That's where everything's stored, but it's all just Google. All you have to remember is just Google. Okay. Yeah.
Open source Chromium anywhere, anything related to Chrome?
Is open source Chromium related to Chrome? In its source code, yes. In operation, no. So when you talk about, well, and open, kind of. So the question about open source, all open source means is that the code that writes the programs or writes the software, whatever it is available to the public. Anybody can go get that code. So I can go to Google's site and type in some information and I get the Google source code, and then I can write programs for Google. Anybody can. I've written 3 applications for Google, okay? If you are an Apple user, Apple is not open source, which means you have to go to Apple and pay them to get the source code, and you have to go through an extensive vetting process. Then you can get source code and write program, and then you have to pay Apple to be able to sell your program. That's one of the reasons Apple makes so much money, is because they monetize those services. Google doesn't monetize those. Google monetizes the ad revenue that they generate. So as I've said for years, Apple, get your money out of your wallet. Google, get your money out of your eyeballs. You pay Google with when you go to their sites and look at their ads. That's how you pay Google. Every time you Google something, the first 5 things that pop up are normally ads. Those companies are paying for that space to be in those ads. And every time you Google something, Google gets a penny or 4 pennies or $9, whatever. But that's the open source. Now, Chromium browser does, and Edge is actually a Chrome-based browser. So Microsoft's Edge browser is actually Chromium. It's actually not, it's not Microsoft, it's Chrome-based browser. The reason they did that is because 90% of web companies have switched their web-based services to Chrome-based services. You may have gone to a website and it said your web browser is not supported. You must download either Chrome or something else like that. Okay, that's why, is because Microsoft's not going to spend billions of dollars to create a new browsing system and then try to sell that browsing system to the 90% of companies that use it, rather than use one that's already being used. And then they'll just make their own browser, but then we'll use Chrome's internal systems, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Safari has spent, or excuse me, Apple has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on Safari to make sure that companies support that. But you maybe, if you're an Apple user, may know there are a lot of things that Safari does not support, or a lot of sites that are not supported by Safari, I should say. And then the other reason, again, to use is again, like I've said, it syncs across all platforms. In my personal life, my Android phone is my life. My laptop is, I can't be without it. It's a Windows operating laptop. I will not use anything except Windows computers. But my iPad, which is like connected to me, to my hip, that every single one of them uses Chrome. In my computer and in my iPad, all I had to do is download it. It's a free download, doesn't cost you a dime, sets it up, simple, easy. My Android comes preloaded with it, and every single laptop. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. Do people on an iPad or on a computer, do people go back and forth between Safari and Chrome? Yes, and there's a few reasons. One, they are like your Safari integrates with Apple. So if you ask Siri a question, it's going to go on Safari to look that answer up. It's not going to go on Chrome. So Siri has to use Safari. If you browse something or you search something or you link something mostly from your email or something like that, it's going to auto launch in Safari. It's not going to launch in Chrome. So Chrome is an add-on to Apple. Okay. You can, in settings, go in and say, make it my default, but Siri is still automatically going to go to Safari when it looks things up. So you're still going to be back and forth in one or the other. Sometimes you want two browsers on your device, specifically for things like I went to one site, it didn't work, so I tried a different browser and that did work. So sometimes computers web or companies' websites will go down. Sometimes the websites will go down only for certain browsers. Okay, so Wells Fargo, everything's going fine. Oh, something went wrong, and Internet Explorer doesn't work right now. Well, we have another browser we can go and look on it that way. Shouldn't be using Internet Explorer anyway. And when it comes to Edge, the major reason I do not like Edge, hate Edge, don't like Edge, can't ever use Edge, it uses the search engine Bing. And I cannot stand Bing search engine. That's Microsoft's search engine. Google's search engine or Chrome's search engine is Google. So when you go into chrome.com and you type something into search, well, it's searching for it on Google because that's its search engine. If you use Edge and you type something in, it's using Bing as its search engine. In there, and even in Google, you by law have the right to change what search engine is used when you search something on any browser on the market. If you go to any of these browsers into the settings, you can change the default search engine. And again, the difference between search engine and a browser, the browser is the app that gets you on the internet. The search engine is the site that's actually being used to search your information. I don't like Bing. You could use Yahoo. It's still out there. I have a vested interest in Yahoo. I don't like using it. I almost said hate it. I don't hate it. I love Yahoo because my company owns them. But yeah, I don't use Yahoo. I haven't used Yahoo in years. But you can choose in fact, you can even, I think on Chrome, you can even choose Duckduckgo, which is actually a pretty decent browser and one that I will use from time to time. Duckduckgo is just a very privacy-centric search engine. And basically it does not store, save, or transmit your information or what you search for to anyone. That means they can't monetize it. So it means it's not very good because they don't have a lot of money to spend on it. But if you're looking for something you never want anything coming back to you to look for, that's where you go. Wink, wink. Okay. So this can get confusing. Okay. You have on your Android app, if you're an Android user, this is specific to you. If you're an Apple user, you don't have to worry about this unless you physically do it. This is Google Chrome. This is Google. They're both applications that come preloaded on your Android phone. Okay, they are both applications that you can load onto your computer. No, not on a computer, on your Apple iPhone or on your iPad. You can't put this Google app. You can't put that on a Windows computer. I'll tell you why. This is the browser. This is actually just a miniaturized search engine, but it's also your interface to your Google Assistant. So if you use the Google Assistant, like you use the speakers at home, Google speakers, or you use the Google Assistant on your phone where you say, hey, Google, and it listens and you ask it, whatever. That's what this is being used for. You can't talk to your phone and say, hey, Google, without that. Now, you have to set it up and say, hey, listen for hey, Google, and, perk up and start listening to me. But that's the difference between this, which is the internet, and this, which is just an application to interface with your Google account, your Google Assistant. Some people will use this because they'll click on that and then they'll search the internet, and that's fine. You can do that. You are technically not in Chrome yet. When you search something here and it takes you to a website, you're still in a miniaturized browser screen until you say, launch this in Chrome. Okay, and I'll show you what that means. There's certain things that this miniaturized browser can't do. You can't do incognito mode. You can't do data transfers, things like that. So there's certain things you can't do web-based apps. And we'll talk very quickly about web-based apps. There was a time, and you guys all know this, when you went to a website and you wanted to do something, you had to download software in order to do it on your computer. You'll notice that you do not have to do that very much anymore because many of these websites now offer web-based application services. So now you can go in and you can do just about everything on the website without having to download anything into your computer because everything's faster. Has anybody here ever played Pogo? No Pogo? No Pogo players. Okay. Old game sites that you could play back in the late 90s, early 2000s. You had to download the Pogo software and then you could play games, and it's a whole suite, and you got points and you grew them up and things like that. Could not do that unless you downloaded their software, and then you had to have Adobe Acrobat. If you guys remember Adobe and all that stuff, web-based apps do not require any of that anymore. So you don't need Adobe Acrobat anymore. You don't need all these downloads and all these plugins and all these. That is why the web has had such a drastic change over the last 10, 15 years, is because of things like HTTPS, which is the new profile and protocol that web-based websites use. Is this HT? I don't know what it stands for. It's kind of hypertext something. But that's the dramatic change to security and settings. That's why you can go on virtually any computer, log into your bank, and as long as you know your profile and you have two-step authentication set up, you can feel 100% confident that nothing's going to happen with you and your data on the website. Don't ever do that from any computer that's not yours or that you are able to pick up and slam on the floor without getting yelled at. Don't log into anybody's, anything, anytime, anywhere, ever. I spent 3 hours fixing an issue with a young lady who continually had somebody else's information popping up on its screen. This is popping every time she clicked on something, something else popped up. She had logged in her Google account, not just logged into Google, and I'll explain the difference. She logged in her entire browser account into a library computer. So not only is everybody saving stuff that's connecting to her profile, everybody can see her stuff. And nobody is smart enough to log out of that, and it's still saved. And it's just so. And it's very difficult unless you have access to the computer to remove yourself from that profile, which is one of the reasons it took so long. You can, but you have to go in and say, delete my profile information from every device I've ever talked to. So do not log your name, number, telephone, birth date, shoe size, anything into any computer, any phone, any laptop, anything that's not yours and that you can comfortably destroy without getting yelled at for it, okay? I hate to say it's so extreme because nobody's going to throw their computer, but if you do and it's yours, you're all right. And you will get frustrated enough that you're just going to throw it. But I'm like, oh, there you go. Oh, I didn't realize I put that in there. Yes, the Google app, specifically just the G, just the interface between your phone and your Google account for your Google Assistant. But it does, and it gets confusing because it has a browser in there, but it predominantly is that. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at what is in Google, where Google sits, what it looks like, how it works and operates. So this is on a laptop. This is google.com. You log in, this is what you see. When I was talking about personalization, that's the thing I meant, is I can personalize the background color. So I just know as soon as I go in there, it's yellow, I know it's mine. Some people like color, some people like this thing. That annoys me to no end because it's not what I'm used to. But it's specifically because it annoys me, it reminds me I'm not in my personal account. Don't do something in here I shouldn't do. This is you guys. Don't do anything in here that I wouldn't do specifically with your guys' computer because it's yours. On Google's site, this one click takes you right to Gmail. So as soon as you go to google.com, this button can take you right to your Gmail. This button takes you right to Images, which is not Google Photos, and I'll explain the difference. Images, if you are searching for, I'm specifically looking for a picture, you go to Images and search for what you're looking for in a picture. I never use this button because all I do is search for what I want, and then in the search engine, I will click on the button Images, and it'll bring me to the image section. You never have to go here first, but it's there. Now, the 9 dots right here, that is all of Google's suite of apps. So that is every app suite that Google has. If you have a Google account, you have access to every suite in that group. With certain exceptions, there are some business ones, there are some school ones. There's one that's called Workplace. That's what this account is, Workplace account. But you will know what you do and don't have access to. And now, when I'm logged into Google, if you'll notice right here, there's my Google icon. I changed my picture because I want my picture to show up, but you'll notice it's a little Google Gaggle icon. But why is it that this has a picture of Google Gaggle and then there's another one up here? And the reason is because this is logged into Google Gaggle. My entire web browser is logged into Google Gaggle. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the screen. I'm gonna explain the difference here in a minute. But when your web browser is logged into your Google account, that means no matter where you go, how you do, what you do, it's all attached to your passwords and services. When you are not logged in here, you can still log into your personal Gmail. You can still see your pictures and stuff, but nothing will save, nothing attaches to your bookmarks, nothing saves for your information or saves your passwords. Okay. This is the account where your passwords are saved. And that little three dot, that's the settings to get into Google, basically Google settings in here. The Chrome settings, everything Chrome based. Here's an example of the bookmarks over here. The apps, I don't really use them. I don't talk about them much, but all they really are is if you have, you can save certain websites. Instead of just saving to your desktop as a shortcut, you can save them as an app, and then Chrome looks at them as if it's an app and runs it, which this is dedicated just for this. I don't use it. I think it's silly. I think it's an unnecessary use of your computer, so I don't use it. And again, this is specific to Windows, but a lot of this correlates over to Android and Apple, so we're gonna look at both. You can customize some of these buttons up here and change them to be whatever you want. Home is always going to take you to Google unless you tell Google, I want home to be something different. And home is always, where do I start? And when you go into settings, you can say, I want my page to start on Gmail, or I want my page to start at Wells Fargo, or whatever. Every time I click that little icon on my computer, this website will show up, whatever you want it to be. I just leave it Google because it's 90% of the time where I want to go anyway, or I don't technically know where I want to go. I'm just going to click and then click on one of my bookmarks because I don't want to say. Some of you may have your desktop that has 47 bookmarks on the desktop, the entire thing's filled up. And I can guarantee you probably don't use any of them because you forget where most of them are and you want to read through. So just keep them here or in your bookmarks bar. So much easier to find. So this is an example I want to show you about tab browsing. And this is the same on your phone as it is here, but it's going to look different. I'll show you the difference. Tab browsing means I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different tabs open. And I can switch back and forth between different tabs. Each tab is its own website. So here I have Gmail open. Here I have the calendar open. Here I have YouTube. Here I have the Westbrook Computer Club website. I can go from here and click right over on my inbox and I'm back in my inbox. I can click over to YouTube and leave that play in the background and listen to it while I'm doing something else. Tab browsing allows you to open more than one website at a time and have them active and being used at the same time. Doesn't take up more services, more space, more anything. It's just you have multiple tabs. Sometimes you'll open, especially on your phones, you'll have multiple tabs open at the same time. Some of that times when you click into a site, it opens it in a new tab, and then you have another one, then you have another one. And I'll show you how you can close them. On Windows, you can actually click one button and say close all tabs, and it'll close them all at the same time, or just click that and it closes everything. So that's tab browsing, and I'm going to show you on a phone as well. It's a little hard to show on phones and devices when we're in this because I can't broadcast it, but we're going to try anyway. Yes, you can. Yeah, didn't cover pin. Pinning just simply means I want this to stay up, but I'm going to make it small and stay over here. And you can say it always launches that way. So you can pin things to your desktop or your tab browsing if you want to, just to make it simpler to remember and see it. Okay. So voice search, if you'll notice, on your original browser, you've got this little microphone. Great feature to just let you not have to actually physically type in everything you're looking for in a search. You can actually click on the microphone and say whatever you want to say. Whatever you would normally type, talk to it. Some people are not comfortable talking to the computer because they don't know exactly what they want to say, but they know what they want to type. That's me. I'm better at just typing out what I'm looking for rather than saying it. If it's a quick little 1-2 phrase, type it. Simple, easy. But if you've got something, what color is the greenest green and the, whatever question you're asking, just simply ask it. What is great for these, you're going on a trip to Flagstaff next week. You can click that button and say, what's the weather going to be like in Flagstaff on Saturday the 15th? And it will come back with an answer. You didn't have to type it all in. You didn't have to go to a website for weather and then type Flagstaff and then put 5 days of it. Just tell Google, what's the weather going to be like on the 15th? Here at Flagstaff, wherever, doesn't matter. I love voice search. It's one of my favorite things. 90% of what I do voice search is in my home on my home speakers. Anywhere I am in my house, I just yell, hey, Google, what time is it? Hey, Google, set a timer for 15 minutes because I got a pizza in the oven. Whatever, I can just talk to the speakers and it does. That does virtually the same thing, except you can't do the timers and stuff because this is just, if you're typing it to search, you're typing it to there. So that is very legitimately anything on your Google, just talk to it, okay? Now, the Google app, when you talk to that, you can do more than when you can on the microphone on the search, because the microphone on the search is just replacing your typing. The Google app, when you talk to it, then it's integrating with your Google account, your Google Assistant, your things like that. Remind me to pay the bill on the 16th, and it will send you a reminder and your phone will ding at you. And it'll actually set it as a calendar entry, you know, set a calendar entry, save a contact or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. If you have an Android phone and you do the voice search, you can even say, call Marianne, send a text message to Bob, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And that's done. I can send a text in less than a second compared to anybody else that has to go to their phone, click on the messages, find the person they want to talk to, click on it, click the microphone and type out. Just talk to it. It does not appear on Apple. Because remember, this is all integrated specifically with Google and Android, and well, Windows has it. But at least when you go to Google, if you're on Google.com on your MacBook and you don't see the microphone, that's in one or two reasons. Either it doesn't support it for the software version you have for Safari or for Mac OS, or you don't have the permissions set for Chrome to be able to use the microphone. Because that's another thing, is you have to give it permission to be able to use the camera and microphone. As an example, when you first go to Google Meet, it's going to pull up the website and that screen's going to pop up and say, you need to give this website permission to use your camera and microphone. So that way you're not accidentally being recorded or using your camera and your laptop without permission. And those are the permissions you have to do. But any website that needs it will ask you at that time. Now, here's some really neat search tips about Google. So this is in general just when you're Googling something, and that has become a verb, to Google it. You know, I don't know the answer. Well, Google it. Duh. Number one, keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. Don't ask a very detailed, correlated question. Just say, you know, what's the best-selling four-wheel drive pickup with two-door seven? You know, no, just what's the best-selling truck in the world. You know, you get the answer. How much does this car cost? It'll give you an estimated answer, that kind of thing. If you keep it simple, gradually add things to make it more specific to you. So if you ask a very broad question and you need more specifics, just add more specifics to that same search. Because that search, when you type, it stays up at the top of the screen. You can just add a word to it. You don't have to type the whole thing again, which is very cool. So what's the best ice cream flavor? Boom. Okay, now what's the best ice cream flavor in the US? Boom. What's the best ice cream flavor in the US and Arizona? Boom. And then you can break that down more and more and more and more and get more specific answers. That saves you from spending a lot of time searching. You get to narrow it down quick, simple, and easy. Okay. You can use quotes, and I do quotes a lot. You can use quotes to find specific phrases. If you're looking for a news story that somebody said something, but you don't know, remember what they said or who they did the story, type in who said and then put quotation, this exact phrase of hers, and then end quote, and Google will look up for that specific phrase within the quotation marks. To understand how Google actually searches in general, when you type in what color is brown, it's not looking into its algorithms and say, what's the answer to what color is brown? No, it's looking for every single site on the planet that has ever mentioned the words what, color, is, and brown. Then its algorithms say, well, what is most commonly going to be the response to what he's looking for, what she's asking about, and then what's the most common, or is the most commonly viewed site for this, and that's the algorithms that it brings up the general answer. That's how Google started. That's why Google is who they are, is because they started a simple search engine that looked on the internet to the millions and millions of websites, and instead of just looking for words, used algorithms to determine what those words are in relation to, number one, what you're looking for, or number two, what's the most popular response to these words being searched for. So that's how you search easier and faster and more effectively. Because my wife has gone, I've searched on the internet for like a week and I could never find this. And I went in and I did a specific word search or a specific set search, and I was, you know, eliminated all the things I didn't want to see and got the answer just like that. She's like, I hate it. Yeah. That is the next one, which is, what's that? What?
Any of this, you're looking up any, doesn't understand who you do.
Oh, okay. The hyphen to exclude That means you're basically putting a minus in front of a word, hyphen, think of it as a minus sign. Look for everything with this, but eliminate every website that has this word. So ignore it if it's this. So let's say, what's the most popular truck in the world? But at the end of that, I'm going to put minus Ford. So give me every most popular truck, but don't include Fords. So hyphen means exclude, or the hyphen or negative means exclude this word. Okay, so if you're looking at something, you want that excluded. If you want to search specific websites, you can use a colon before whatever you're looking for. So I'm looking for, I need to find a pair of pajamas. You know, I'm looking for pajamas. Well, it's going to send me Walmart and Amazon and Target and this and that. But I want to specifically look for pajamas at Victoria's Secrets. So I can say pajamas, Victoria's Secret, and it will only search Victoria's Secret's website. Now, why wouldn't you just go to victoria.com or victoriassecrets.com, whatever it is, and look for it there? You could. But if I'm looking for something more broad, I'm looking for something that's generally, you know, that kind of thing. That's why you would use that. I don't want to jump to there, or I don't know there was. You can use Google search to do math problems. Very obvious. Well, it's obvious, but a lot of people don't know it. You can put as complicated a math problem as you can write out, put it in Google search and it'll answer it. You can, and I don't, we've talked about this in that Google app that also includes Google Lens if you have Android. You can take a picture of a handwritten math problem and that application will give you the answer. There's a lot of kids now that their math done totally differently because the teachers know they can just take a picture of a math problem and give them the answer. So it's not about getting the answer anymore. It's about show me how you got that answer, which there are now websites that do that too. So here's the math problem, here's the answer. Okay, and make sure you put these steps in how you do. You can search for multiple words at the same time. Obviously, when I say, what is this, and it looks up those words and looks for it, you can put multiple different responses for whatever you're looking for at the exact same time. You don't have to limit it, okay? You can put, you know, a bunch of stuff in there at the same time. Now, one of the things that I use all the time is versus, VS. One of my go-tos. I am looking up what is the difference between this car and this car. I'm going to type in this car, VS, this car. And it's going to give me either websites where people have answered that already, or it's going to legitimately give me a graph set up and say exactly compare this to compare this. Me personally, it's cell phones. I'm going to compare the iPhone 13 to the Samsung Galaxy S22, and it's going to pull up exactly the differences between the two, the price differences, the products, the features, the services, the whatever. Okay, so I love versus. If you're looking at two things for whatever reason and comparing them, one of the best little things I love. Say again? No. I just did that to tell you specifically that it's VS. You don't have to use the quotes and verses, but it's just, you just do this, VS, this, okay? Now, all of these can be used in conjunction with each other. So I can quote word versus colons website. You know, you can do a lot of things in order, and Google's smart enough to go, okay, you want the exact of this, and I eliminate this, and don't forget about that. Try to stay away from too many of those formulas and just kind of type in what you're looking for and then manually search through what you're doing. Spelling doesn't necessarily matter. I put that in italics to let you know. Google will pretty much spell it for you. I use Google a lot just as my spelling. It just spell corrects it because it will, you spell something wrong and at the top of the page it says showing results for this is how it's really spelled, idiot. You spelled it wrong, you know, and I'll say, okay, whatever. You can actually click on that link and then it'll search for that right spelling. Mm-hmm. Yes, so the question is, why will it change words? Apple and Google both have spell checkers built into them, and the default feature is automatically change spell correction. If you don't want that, you can go into settings and say, don't spell correct it for me, just underline it red that it's spelled wrong. Because it thinks that you wanted something different than what you did, because it has autocomplete as well. So there's a difference between spell checker, autocorrect. Okay, autocorrect means here you spelled it wrong, here's the right spelling, and word completion. Word completion means I'm assuming that based on what you've read or what you've written, this is what you're going to say next. Google, Gmail has that, and I use it quite a bit because then it grays in what it thinks you're going to say for the rest of this. Like if I say thank you very much and have, it'll say a nice day at the end of it. I just hit tab and types it in because it kind of learns how you do. If you don't like that, go into settings and turn them off. You don't have to have autocomplete. All the settings, yeah. That You know what? You're absolutely right. We do need a class on settings, but the problem is the settings classes are specific not only to the operating system, but the individual device you have, because you can have different settings than a Motorola because you have a Samsung. So Samsung's going to have a completely different set of settings than an iPhone, not just where everything is, but what things are called and what controls you have. And that's just because everything's a little bit different. What I try to get people to do is kind of not necessarily just kind of go along with the program, but when you get a new device, try to use it as it is defaulted until you find something that you cannot work around, such as something autocorrecting or whatever. Then you simply go to Google and type in, how do I turn this off on my Samsung phone? And it'll be a step-by-step instruction how to turn off whatever feature you don't like. Part of the problem is knowing what these features are called. Autocorrect, password. Just type, you can go into Google and say, why do my words change when I type a message on my Samsung? So you're going to ask a question in Google the exact same way as you're going to ask me. Why is my phone being stupid and doing this all the time? Because I guarantee you 500 people have already asked that question and 1,500 people have already answered that question. Some of them wrong, but at least you're going to get a direction to get that answer correct, that question answered. And know that you can always reset your settings back to your default settings. So you don't have to, oh my God, I forgot what I changed. No, just change everything back to default and start over again. You can't really mess that up. That's one of the reasons I tell everybody about backups, because as long as you back up your pictures, your contacts, and your data, whatever data you want, you can reset your phone every week. Doesn't hurt you. All your data shows right back up, and I can start with a fresh phone every week. I reset my phone every 6 months. I wipe my phone out, start it back from scratch every 6 months because all my settings are saved. I like the money in unit conversions. Unit conversions specifically, I will speak them. How many cups in a gallon? Whatever the situation. Especially my wife and I just started doing more cooking, so I'm going to ask a lot of conversion questions. How many teaspoons are in a tablespoon, or how many tablespoons are in a cup, or whatever it may be. But also, if it's important, especially if you live out of country, money conversions, knowing exactly how much Canadian converted to US or vice versa, you can do a conversion. If you do a lot of it, there are apps that will keep it in there and either constantly remind you or let you quickly, easily go in and say, how much, this is this, how much is it mine? There's even a plugin, they call it an extension on Google, that can monitor websites that you go to a lot, not really monitor them, but know that you go to certain websites. And if it's like a shopping site, when you go into that website and you look at something, it will automatically convert that into a different value, depending on your needs. Like if it's Canadian and I need to know how much it is in American or vice versa, it'll automatically convert that for you, rather than having to go to a different country's website and look it up. It'll just convert that. So that's kind of cool. And last, track your packages. I like it because I use it about 15 times a day. I really do. It's what I do for work. But you just put the actual tracking number in Google. You don't have to go to the website first. You may not even know if the tracking number that you have is, you got a tracking number for a product. Yeah, I don't know if it's USPS. I don't know if it's UPS. I don't know if it's FedEx. I haven't got a clue. Just put the tracking number in Google. Normally you have it in an email, so just copy and paste it into Google and it'll automatically pop up and say, yeah, this is a USPS. Hit track package right now and you can see right where it is. Love that. One of my favorite things. And again, like I said, I use that at least 15 times a day. Again, you have my information. Oh, see, I changed my it's wrong number. So we're going to look a little bit into the actual browser itself, because I'm going to show you a few other things in the actual browser. We're going to stop sharing that. And you guys online will now start seeing a new, nope, not that one. Yeah, that one. A new tab. Oh, not a new tab. I'm going to go to my, let's see. Okay, there we go. Present and window. There we go. Okay, and online you should, yeah, perfect. Okay, so now you've seen exactly the way I, have this screen set up. You can set it up absolutely any way you want. Customize it anyway. Down here in the lower right, you can actually do the customize, which you can change the colors, do different backgrounds, make it any way you like to do, if you like something nice and pretty and different. I actually save them as different interfaces, but if you'll notice, I'm going to minimize this real quick. If I go over here, there is my personal login to Chrome. So if I click on this and I open Chrome, notice my name shows up here in the actual browser and my top is gray. If I go into This one, it's got West Creek and it's blue. And I saved each one of them as a desktop icon so I can quickly, easily access either one of them I want. And that's exactly why I did that. So I could pull up either one of the Gmails, either one of the browsers, and I knew what browser I would actually be in. So that's specifically why we did that. Oh, did I stop? Oh, no, there it is. Okay, so some of the quick settings. This is how you save a bookmark. This is specifically going to be sharing. You want to actually share the page as an email address, or you can copy the URL. And then this is normally where you're going to get your side panels. This is a new thing that just added that you can actually add bookmarks and reading lists. I think it's worthless. I don't use it. I don't. In fact, I haven't turned it off in here yet, but you can. So in settings, and we're just going to go through the basics real quick. This is how you launch a new tab, or just hit the plus. That's how you get a new tab. You want a completely new window, which instead of just being a tab in the same, I want a new window. You can do that if you want. Just does get confusing because you have a bunch open down here then. Or an incognito window. Now that's the last thing I want to tell you, or not the last thing, but that's the thing I want to tell you about specific to browsing. I will use incognito. So you'll notice when you click incognito, it goes black. Online, you guys can't see that, but trust me, when you say incognito, it goes black. What incognito does is it does not save cookies. It does not save your browsing history. It doesn't save where you went. It doesn't save anything about you on their site, and it doesn't save anything about their site on your computer. The reason you would do incognito is for a few reasons. Number one, I'm browsing for something that I never, ever, 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 ever want Google to send me more information about later, because sometimes when you go to sites, Google will end up sending you information on your news feed or something like that later. Said, hey, you were interested in this. Here's some more information about this. I'm like, I don't care. So I'll go to incognito, so I'm never exposed to that again. I don't want to see history. I don't want to know anything. I'll also do it if I'm shopping for something. Don't want my wife to ever know I'm shopping about it, because she has complete access to my computer and my history and everything else. In fact, I share it with her. So if I'm shopping for something from her, I don't want anybody to see it. I'm going to do incognito. I'm going to log into a website that I don't want history of, or I don't want my information saved. I'm going to go incognito. So I'm just on an incognito website right now, right? So we'll share this with the desktop or with the team online, and we're going to share. Stop presenting. We're going to share the incognito screen. Okay, so this is the incognito. So this is basically it turns black. So you know it's incognito because you have the little spy guy, and the entire thing is all blacked out. And in the upper right-hand corner, it actually says incognito, so it's no longer attached to your account. So, when you go to your settings, you just click on new incognito window. You can Control Shift N if you want to, but in your settings, it's the third down, new incognito. Okay, and then it opens a new search bar. And I'll show you how to do it on your phone too. So when I get here now, if you guys remember in Google that the bar right in the middle is where you search for anything, there's no difference between the bar in the middle of the page and the bar at the top of the page. It doesn't matter. If you search everything in the top of the page, it's doing the exact same thing. So don't think that, oh, I need the Google. No, you just go right to the top of the page, and I am searching for Robevo watch. I made that up because I don't know what a Robevo is, but I click on it, Robevo watch. Now I'm doing a Google search for Robevo watch. Well, there's oh my God, there is a Robevo. Oh no, so, oh, there's a pretty watch. I like that one. So I'm going to click on that. So I'm browsing just like on any other browsing, but if you notice the top is still blacked out. So it's still incognito. I'm not saving any history. I'm not saving any cookies. If I go to their website, it's not going to save information about my computer on their site that it remembers me the next time I go. It's not going to allow me to use any of my passwords, any of my saved information on these sites, but I can go here and I can look stuff up. Can you buy the watch in incognito? Absolutely. It's a regular browser. It's just not saving information about you. So it's not personalized at all. It's just a generalized website. So it's just if you were shopping anywhere else. Because you want some of your information saved. You want your history reminded. So I want to know what websites I've been to. I remember, oh, I was searching for something 6 months ago, and I want to remember what that is so I can go back 6 months and see where I went. Some people, you can actually go into settings, and you can go to history and say, don't save my history for longer than 6 days or 12 days or whatever. You can say, don't save my history, because not everybody does one. I do. I want my history saved. If I want to clear it, clear it. I can manually go and say, clear my history back through the end of time. but that's my choice. So 90% of the time, anytime I go to a site, I want it in regular because I want it to autofill my data. I want it to remember my information. I want websites to remember who I was because I want my personalized information remembered. When I go to Amazon, I don't go to Amazon.com like you guys. I go to smile.amazon.com, which you can too. So I'm not special. All that is it's a specific site of Amazon that says every time I buy something, give 10% of everything I buy to my charity of choice. That's smile.amazon.com. I spend a lot of money on Amazon. So DAV, the Disabled American Veterans Organization, gets tons of money from me. Almost, I think it's like $70 a month, and just, and just thank you very much kind of thing. And they've collected millions. I mean, it's a neat thing. I want, when I go to Amazon, that it remembers that so my charity gets that money. That's one of the reasons. But it's not the only reason. It's one of the reasons. I could still do that in Incognito, but I like my regular browser. And this won't save across other services. So if I go onto my phone now and there was that Rebovo watch I was looking up. It's not in here anymore because it was on Incognito mode. Okay. So I can then, from the site, from whatever, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, is remember when I said first you do any search, and up here, that's search everything for it. Or I can say, just go to the shopping part of it. I want to just shop for that watch. Or I can say, just show me images, and it's just pictures now. Okay, show me all the pictures that match my search. They are very expensive watches. I'm not buying a $21,000 watch. I can go to show me all the videos. For example, I want to see a video about that watch because I want to know what other people have thought. There is watches for medicine. I don't know what these are. Here's a bargain Rolex. I don't know what that is. But I can go to these different sections of search to narrow down what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a picture of something. I'm not going to go to all and search through. I'm going to go to images. I'm looking for news relating to Rebovo watches. I'm looking whatever. And that's what all of these sections do. Especially if you're looking for stuff like flights. You can just type in American Airlines, December 15th, and just go to flights, and it'll show you all the flights American Airlines has on December 15th, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you ask it a question, how does something work? Especially if you're talking about technology, it's normally going to send you to YouTube. And the reason is because that is a face-to-face person showing you this is how you do it. Now, if you did that, you could still, like instead of doing the video, see, now there's a perfect example. I went to click microphone, but it said, wait a minute, I don't have permission to use your microphone. Incognito mode doesn't. I've given my regular permission, the Incognito doesn't have it. So I need to give it permission, allow. How do I set a timer on my iPhone? So there is, the first thing is, here has a quick, let's set it, and you can go down, but then it shows you videos about how it's done. So it's going to do the search results based on what sounds the most common. So if you're asking how to do something, this is how you do it. If you can't follow the instructions, then I've got a site that, or a video that shows you how to do it. Okay. And that's a good way to do that. However that may be. So that's the Incognito. And again, you can use it as you see fit. If I were to, for example, in Incognito mode, go to my inbox. If I go to inbox, it says, hey, sign in. Wait a minute, I'm on Google. How do you not know who I am? Because I'm in Incognito, it doesn't know who I am. The website doesn't know who I am, the search, nothing. If somebody's going to do something on my computer, I'm going to give them the computer with Incognito mode launched because you're not doing anything on my personal login, same kind of thing. And then when you do launch, you can't launch by default in Incognito mode. You can launch and then go into Incognito or launch in Incognito, but you can't launch in Incognito. Okay. So that is the long, short, simple, easy of Incognito mode. Now we're going to share again, back to Google. Okay. And very quickly with simple settings, if you were to online, yes, continue. In your simple settings, I'm going to try to get out of the way. You also have your history. So this is the history of all the places I've been. I had a browser, or actually, if you read my email, there was a quote at the bottom of it. If it isn't on Google, it doesn't exist. It was by a guy named Jimmy Wales. I had no idea who that was. And I didn't want to put a quote from some weird pedophile or something. I want to make sure who I know. So I Googled who it was. I had no, he's an entrepreneur. He's a billionaire. Okay, cool. That's not a, no. Okay, so then I got my downloads. Now this is anything that I've been to a site. For example, you go to your power company or your water company or what, City of Peoria Water, whatever, and you want to pull up a copy of your bill. Well, if you'll notice, most of those places don't just show a copy of your bill, they download it to you. So it downloads like the PDF. That's where you'll find them all. Every single time your computer downloads something to your computer that you wanted to see online, a menu or something silly, that's where it goes to downloads. So you can then access the downloads and see everything that's in there and pull up like these are all the things that I've downloaded over the however. You can even see I've deleted some of the things I downloaded because I didn't need them anymore, so I deleted them. You then have the zoom in. I really like it. You'll use it from time to time. It's just if something on a site is too small, you can just make it bigger. If you'll notice, everything on Google just got a lot bigger, and it's just zoom in, zoom out. The easiest thing is if your mouse has a trackball or a track wheel, I should say, all you have to do is press and hold Control and scroll in and out. And that way everything gets bigger and easier as you see fit. So I can just go up, down really, really fast and zoom. And if you'll notice right up here, it says up there what zoom power I'm in, or I can just click reset. So that's a neat little trick. Yeah. Print is simple. You guys know what print is, Control P. Casting, I'm going to tell you what it is because you can do it from your phone or your computer. Casting means I want to send my screen to my television or my laptop or my phone or whatever. Casting just means I am going to virtually plug in my device to another display so I can share that display. I use it quite a bit. You guys will probably never use it because you can only use it if you have a TV that's compatible with either Android or Apple. Apple, not so much because you have to have AirPlay or you have to have an Apple TV device. You have to have one of these. You have to have one of these to be able to cast to an Apple device. It's called AirPlay or Aircast, I think. These are about $200. Google makes a very, very inexpensive casting device, which is called their Chromecast. There is, I think, 50. And I love it. It's one of my favorite. I use it every single day. It's what all of my streaming services go through. I have 8 or 9 streaming services: Disney, Netflix, Hulu, all these devices that there's just website, or they're not websites, but they're apps that go and watch things online. I do everything through my Chromecast. Then if I'm on my phone or on my computer and I want to show my wife something, I can just cast it to the big TV. And instead of us both looking on a team, we've got it on the big TV and we can share. So we do that quite a bit, especially if we're doing things, like I said, we do a lot of cooking at home. So we go in and we select our menu of what we're going to cook, and we can do that together. Find is not what you think it is. Find is not search. Find is I'm on a website and I want to look for a specific word or phrase in that website. So that it's Control F if you've ever done that. If you're in a Word file, if you're in any document, anything, anywhere, if you want to find a specific word in that document, you either click Find or hit Control F. It will search wherever you are for that word. So I've got this big, huge, long document. All I care about is this one thing in this article. Just hit Control F, type in what you're looking for, and it will find you all the version or all the incidences where that word showed up in that article. One of my favorite little tools. Control F is awesome. It's so much easier than reading through everything or trying to find this or trying to find that. I just want to find this. I want to find this one thing. I will use it for things like I will pull up in my bank account. I'll pull up all of my transactions, and I'm looking for this payment. I don't even have a receipt, but I know I paid this amount on this day. Search for Control F, 1982 or $19.82, whatever, and it will find every single time 1982 shows up exactly that phrase. So I love that. I use Control F a lot. More tools, you've got a few other things in here. Saving page as, that is where I saved the 3 versions of that web browser on my desktop. That's what save page as. So I want to save that page as something and save that to my desktop. When you do that, if you do that, don't save it as an app. Okay, it's going to look like this. You're going to hit save page as, and then it's going to say, here's name it, whatever, and it's going to be like a shortcut in your computer. You're not going to use save as much as you're going to use create shortcut. Now, I can't create a shortcut at this site because it's already a shortcut. But let's say, for example, I'm going to go to the website. There we go. So I'm now at Westbrook's Computer Club. So click More Tools, Create Shortcut, and I can name it whatever I want. And that's where it says it's going to save it as an app, as Open As Window. All that means is I want this website to open up as a dedicated this website and nothing else. That's all this is. And you're never going to use that. So you would rarely ever click that button. Because then when you do, and I'll show you what this means. When you click this, online guys, just know trust me when I say it. I'm going to create that. And now this is what shows up. Notice it's no longer a website. It's not, I don't have any, I can't go to any other, I can't click. It's dedicated site. So it's an application at this point. That's all it can do. I absolutely don't like that. Don't use it. Can't think of a reason why anybody would. So I would, and there it is right there. I can right click and I can delete it. Simple, easy peasy. And then I think there's, here's where you go. Oh, edit, cut, and copy paste. This is Control C, X, V. If you guys don't know the cut, copy, paste shortcuts, learn them because they're awesome. Makes it so much easier. On your phone, cut, copy, paste is push and hold on the word you want, and then a button will pop up and you can say copy. So if you get something on a site and you want to save that, for example, a phone number, somebody texts you a phone number, don't write the phone number down and then go to contacts and type the phone number back in. Just push and hold on the phone number and copy. And then you can jump over to your contacts and press and hold where you want it to be and hit paste. So cut, copy, paste, major time saver. Once you get used to it, once you see how it's used, you'll save it. When I mean cut, copy, paste on a computer, it's control, when you use control, it's control X, control C, and control V. So control X is cut, which to me makes sense, X cut. Control C, copy, makes sense, C, copy. V or V for paste. I don't know why. I eat paste and it always kind of. So yeah, so just a simple thing. And then there's some other control quick codes if you're ever using the computer, but those are like my favorites. Whatever. So for example, it's almost Take Back Drug Day. I'm going to copy this just as an example. So I'm going to highlight it. I want the whole thing. I'm going to Control C. I'm going to come up here to the search bar and I'm going to Control V and right there, just Control C, Control V. I don't have to type everything in. It's just copy, paste it, copy. So just the easier way to do it. Now, for the most part, if you're somewhere, you can actually just double click on it and get the word. But if you double clicked, if you triple click, it'll highlight everything. So if I click once, it puts, if it were like, for example, right up here, if I click once, it puts the icon there. If I click twice, it highlights the word. If I triple click, it highlights the entire phrase. Okay. This one, I would either go to an email and send it to you an email, or I would, you can't from here. This is a website. Yeah, this is a website. So if I wanted to send it to you, I would copy this and I would actually probably copy the entire thing. See, if you, now here's another trick. If you hover, if you go over a link, you'll notice that your little pointer turns into a little finger. If you've never noticed that your pointer turns into a finger, that's how you know whether or not you're on a hyperlink or a shortcut. You can always find out what that shortcut's supposed to be by right-clicking and inspecting it. And it'll tell you everything about what, now you wouldn't want to care about what all this is, it's stupid. You could always, if you hover over, you see down here, it's basically giving you the full website. That's what I mean by websites are really, 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 really long. That's the website. It's not, you know, drug April 30. That's the entire website. So that I'm not going to copy that. What I can do is I can right click, I can copy the link address, and I can go to Gmail, and I can compose a new or I would actually, I've already got a conversation going with you. I would just click on it, and I would reply to you, and right click and paste. There's the link. I didn't have to type that all in. And just go. And when you get it, all you have to do is tap on it. See what I mean? And then the other thing you could do is when you're in a site, you could, when I said share, you got this button right up here for share. You can click on that. I can copy the link just like I just did. I can get the QR code. You remember those square codes I was talking about? You can make your own. So I can make a QR code that takes me to this website. You can cast the page, you can save it, you can do all these things. I can share it right to one of those social networking sites. Not that you would, but at least you know what they are. And then you're going to go to settings, the final. So the settings, makes it as simple as I can make settings for it. They're laid out into the different sections. There's my autofill settings, privacy, how it looks, the engine. That's where I was telling you, you can change your search engine. I can go from Google, Bing, Duckduckgo to, I don't know what Cosia is. I've never heard of it. But I can change the browser the search engine. I can do whatever I want. I like Google. my default browser means if I had more than one browser on my computer, I could change it to be a different browser, to different default browser. I don't want and then at startup, that's where you would change, do I want a new tab, or do I want to continue where I left off, or do I want a specific set of pages? When I'm at work, when I click on the internet, it automatically launches one page that has Gmail, calendar, schedule, my work schedule, and then my time clock. Every single time I click and I push one button, everything pulls up. Well, I've had employees look at me and go, "You're like a magician." No, I just kind of know how to use a computer. There are people I've got on my thing. I actually share a screen with them. One person, he's in Chicago, and I went to a screen. He had 14 screens up. I have 3. We're doing the same job. I'm trying to figure out why he's got 14 pages up, because his computer crashes literally every day. Oh, I've got to shut down and press it. No, just stop doing this crap. So, a lot of easy ways to do it. So you just set it up to make it easier for you. The cool thing about all of these is when you change computers, when you change devices, when you do anything, these follow you. You don't have to do this every time you get a new computer. If I were to go to my phone, as an example, and I went to the browser, I'm at wherever I was, that's Verizon Wireless, go home. New tab. All right. So I'm on my personal, you can't really see it, but my name, my picture's right up here. I could click on here and change this to my Google. So there is now my Gaggle login. So there's everything with my Gaggle. I can get logged in there. So now I'm in a different browser, so I can sign into whatever I want. So all of my settings would follow me to any single device I have. Now this has no reason to ever log into my Google Chrome account. It will go in and check email, because I can check. And I don't have to be logged into Chrome in order to check my email.
How are you,
just go to the
sweetheart?
Okay. So that's the difference, is you don't have to be logged into Chrome to go to Gmail or to check this or check that. You need to be logged into Chrome here if you are saving your data, doing your personalization, transferring your bookmarks. You save something on this and you want to go to it from there, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. Continue where you're left off. I don't mind that one. I don't always want to go back to where I was. If I left, that means I won't be there anymore. So continue where you left off is pretty much whatever business I just left. Make sure I come right back to that business. I just left that business. I don't want to go back there. I want to go somewhere new, especially if it stinks in there. The extensions, I am going to limit your access to them by simply saying only use them if you have to use them. Extensions are basically little mini applications that specifically do something on Chrome. So you could have, as I mentioned, an extension that automatically transfers your money values into another currency or something. You could have an extension. I have one extension that all it does is when I close Chrome, it clears my cookies and my history. That's my work, but that's an extension. Every single time I close Chrome, it clears everything. Okay. So you can have extensions, and there's entire stores full of extensions that you can look for. Here's my problem with extensions. They cause problems. The more your browser has to do and the more information you're giving it, the harder it is for that browser to actually do something it's supposed to do. So the easier, the better. This is an extension, as an example, that allows me to access my Google Docs offline. So if I don't have internet access, I can still get to my drive. I can still get to my documents. I can still get to my things that are important to me. I have that on here because I'm not always at home with this, and sometimes I'm working somewhere else and I still want to work on something for this class. I can do that when I have offline docs activated. All right, so that is Chrome. And again, don't ever click anything that ever says developer mode on your Android. Can't do it on iPhone because Apple doesn't let you. If you ever see developer mode, ignore it, don't do it, don't turn it on, leave it alone, okay? Developer mode means God mode. That means you're giving this phone permission to do stuff it was never designed to do, and you can mess up some serious. It took me a long time to figure out that somebody had activated developer mode and set their phone to every time they tap their screen, the phone went, and every single time it just freak out. And I'm like, why the heck? What did you do to your phone? It was like dropped in the toilet or something. No, she turned developer mode on. And the reason for the mode is so somebody that's designing an application knows on a tap what the phone is doing and how the phone's responding. So it basically does this little freak out every time. So as somebody's making an app for this thing, it teaches them where this is. It's just the weirdest thing. So In extensions, yeah, the developer mode is in extensions, and it would legitimately be somebody that's writing code for Android or for the browser. Now, I'm going to see how we can do this with our online friends. Guys, I'm going to do the best I can for you. So what we're going to do, I'm going to plug in, and I think we can do it this way. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to, no, that's not going to work either. Yeah, we're going to do it this way. Let's see what it does. I'm going to unplug. And we are going to, I'm not going to stream here. We're not going to browse Turbo. Okay. And we are going to, I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so I think I can do this, but I'm going to try. You guys online, yell at me if you see something you shouldn't see, or if you see my private stash or something. Share screen. Oops. Open Chrome. Here we go. And then I'm going to, hi guys. Oh, here we go. So now I'm going to try to skip. Now this is where I ran into an issue. I'm going to try to share. No, it doesn't let me. See, that's the one thing. So iPad specifically does not let you share screen while you're browsing, which is silly. So let me see if we do it this way. I'm going to try this. I'm going to stop presenting, and then you can do it this way. Stop being a presenter. Oh, that's not going to work either because that's companion. Okay. How can we do this? Well, we'll try it this way, guys. You guys can see up on that screen. Okay. Yeah, let me see. Sherry and Ann, what devices do you have? Do you have Android or do you have Apple? Ann has Apple. And Sherry, do you use Android? Okay. Chrome is going to work pretty much the same on both of you guys. So I'm going to, no, that's going to stream. Well, let's try this. You know what? You're going to see another presentation. You're just going to have 4 Chads on there. That's going to be fun. Join. Whoops. Oh, turn off audio. There we go. Okay, so you guys should now be able to see. Oh, you should see me. I don't want you to see me. It's ugly. Screw. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try this in this mode, and we're going to kind of play here. So you're going to see what's going on the browser without this screen. There we go. You're going to try to see what's going on in the browser. I'm going to try to master this so we can get streaming and cast at the same time, but it's kind of tough. So now what we're going to do is, yeah, now you should see that in browser. Okay, cool. All right, so we are now, get up here, and tab. Okay, so Chrome. All right, so this is my Chrome browser as it looks on Apple. So if you'll notice, it's nearly identical. Doesn't look that much different, even though it's on a different device. You still have the same microphone. You still have the same browser set. The only differences are just kind of how it's laid out and the access points that you have. So it doesn't have the shortcuts at the top, and it doesn't have those kind of things. You can still access all of your other services. You can still go to your settings and do everything you wanted to do. It just looks less like Chrome on your computer and looks just more like Apple, because Apple just wanted it to look more like them. You still have what you can see actually, let me get into my other account. So there's the Gaggle account. Get in there. Oh, it won't let me access my Gaggle account. Anyway, so this is going to be virtually the same. Down here, you're going to see icons that you've been to before. So when you see these icons, they're just basically places you've recently been. And when you see below that, that's where you have the shortcuts to your bookmarks, your reading list, tabs, and history and things. So Apple's going to have that laid out just a little bit differently. On Android, it's going to look very, very similar to what you have on your computer. It's going to have the 9 squares. It's going to have the settings. It's going to have the shortcuts. On an iPhone, you notice that you still have up here in the upper right-hand corner or upper left-hand corner, excuse me, the plus to do tab browsing. So I can do multiple tabs and open different sites if I want to. But with these, you can close them all by simply clicking one at a time, or you can click them by clicking on menu and saying, basically, or launching, excuse me, your little number right here. This tells you how many tabs you have open. So if you open multiple tabs, stop that. There we go. So if I have a bunch of tabs open, you see that this number here changes for every tab that you have open. So I can click on the number and it shows me all of the different tabs at once. So I can quickly jump in. Now that is the Safari feature. That's a feature of Safari. It's the way that app's designed. Safari does the same thing. This one does it because it wants it to look more like Safari. It really wants you to have that similar feel between Safari and Chrome. So it basically sets it up that way. And then you can, there's your incognito, for example. So we have the incognitos. I can get rid of those. So my tabs, I can click quickly, access each individual one, or I can select all the tabs. Well, I can't. I just got to tap on them and then close them. Apple's not really big on letting you do everything all at once because it doesn't want you to accidentally close some information that you actually may really want. So that's why it doesn't give you that capability. But I am going to show you guys a really neat trick on Apple. I just learned it. I've been using Apple for 20 years. Just learned this trick. So if you are, let's do a picture, for example. So I'm going to jump real quick into just photos because it's just a good example of something. I think I can do it in here. And you want to basically select multiple things at once. You can, if you are selecting something, you see how the little arrow pops up on there. You can then with 2 fingers drag. Oh, no, it doesn't let you do that in Google. Oh, that's a Google app. Let you do it there. If we're in, I'm trying to think of something that has a list in Apple because I keep all my stuff somewhere else. I have contacts. No. So multiple selection. Oh, I know one. So here's a perfect example. So I'm in, I'm in selections here. And I can very quickly with 2 fingers, if you'll notice, normally I would have to edit. So I have to click the edit button, select messages, and then I'd have to push each individual dot right down the line, right? I can eliminate all that by taking 2 fingers on the screen and putting them right up and pull down, and they all get selected. I just learned that literally last week, and I'm thinking that is the coolest thing ever. So if you ever have to select multiple things in Apple all at the same time, 2 fingers drag down. Apple has a lot of tricks like that with little 2 fingers, 3 fingers, pinch in, pinch out, things like that. And it takes a long time to learn them all because they're really good shortcut applications, but they take a long time to learn. As much as they have a long time to learn, if you use them, so once you find a quick trick that you want the device to use, then you'll find the tips and the tricks and the easy ways to do it, which is really kind of makes perfect sense. Okay, so there you go. There's Chrome in a nutshell. There's a bad joke there. I'm not gonna make it. I am going to open it up to anybody that may have any kind of questions, any concerns, any issues, major psychological complaints. I don't know why that's going that way. Oh, it's because I'm looking at myself. That's really uncomfortable. There we go. So does anybody have any kind of questions, any kind of concerns? I think somebody, yes. No. So Firefox browser uses Google as a search engine. So that's different than using the Google browser. So you can on any, like I was saying earlier, you can on any browser use any search engine you want. No. You'll have to. It depends on whether or not Firefox supports exporting your data. So the question is, can I go from Firefox to Chrome or any other browser and keep my bookmarks with me and kind of take my thing? The answer for the most part is yes. Most browsers allow you to export your data. It's just a matter of how and where they export that data to and how that data is imported. And that's what it's actually calling, is calling export and import. As an example, if I went from Yahoo Mail to Gmail, I can export all of my mail to a file and go over to Gmail and import that file in, and it brings all my mail or my contacts or my whatever I'm looking for, my calendar, whatever it is. That's called PIM, Personal Information Management. It's just a matter of not whether or not Firefox supports that. All you have to do, honestly, Google, can I transfer my bookmarks from Firefox to Chrome? And chances are they'll have a way to do it. I can't imagine they wouldn't, because Google wants, wants it over there. Firefox doesn't want to lose you, so they're going to be really nice to say, we're not going to keep your data and steal it, because it's your data, it's your stuff. Anybody have anything? No.
And I left it in. And I finally got in there and shut it down. I was blocking the whole
That is very correct. Basically, what she was saying is when she tried to download Chrome on her computer for the first time, and the only browser she actually had was Edge, it blocks her all the way. And it's not supposed to be blocking you, but they don't have to make it easy. All you should really have to do on any browser to download is go to chrome.com. Okay, and that, or google.com/Chrome, or I mean, there's 900 ways to get there. Google Chrome, and then and you're just basically doing Chrome download. If you just search for that, it'll pull it. And as long as you go to the site that actually has the Chrome download, all your downloading is an application. Windows has zero control over what you're allowed to download, but they do make it to where when you search for something, they may not just conveniently take you exactly where you need to be. You need to click and then you need to go here. Now, when you do a download, they can, although this is what I absolutely hate about the new Windows 10 and Windows 11, you can download Chrome, but you have to manually and individually go into the settings in Windows and change every single default for every single thing you do. Search the internet, it's still Edge. I have to change the default to Chrome. Search for a map, change it from Microsoft Maps to I have to individually change every single thing. You can't just say change the default and go. So I don't like that. I don't like that Microsoft does not let you uninstall the program, so you can't get rid of Edge even if you don't want it. And there will be a lot of things that you will do that Edge will still pop up. For example, if you search in the start menu of your Windows computer, if you just do a search and you say show me this on the internet, it's not going to go to Chrome, it's going to go to Edge, even if Chrome is your default browser, because that's the only browser it is. For example, on your Apple computer, if you go and do a search on like from anywhere on your iPhone, you guys should know this, from anywhere on your iPhone, just push your finger and swipe down a little bit and a little search comes up and you can search the entire phone and the internet for whatever you want. And if you do that, it's going to take you to Safari. It's not going to take you to Chrome. Chrome's your default browser. Chrome is not Apple's default browser. So those are the kind of things. So and again, I will still on my iPad use Safari from time to time. Mostly to kind of play with some new features. They change some stuff around, but I don't like Safari. I don't like the way it browses. I don't like the uses. Even though it still uses Google as my search engine, I don't like the application. I don't save any of my bookmarks there. I don't save any of my history there. I don't save any of my autofills. I use Chrome for everything, and it works the same on all my computers and services. But caveat emptor, whatever that word is. What I do and the way I do it is not the way you should or have to do it. You will eventually, as you find the need for things that I have discussed, you will find reasons to do things and reasons to do it the way you want it done. So don't look at the way I do something and go, oh, well, he said you have to do it that way. Not the way you have to do it. Just the way for the last 20 years that I have found as the simplest, easiest interface. I will spend 4 hours working on one particular thing on my computer. All it does is it saves me 2 minutes of when I'm going to do something, but I'll take 4 hours trying to fix it. Why? Because I have to do that 2 minutes every single day for the rest of my life. And that will eventually save me that time. And the 4 hours is kind of my fun, just kind of learning new things. But so you will from time to time spend a lot of time in settings or whatever, or messing around in there to find things that make it better for you, that all it's going to do is save you a couple seconds here or there, or it's going to limit your frustration or your stress. That's all it's designed to do. I am going to do anything I can possibly do to limit my frustration. If something bugs me enough, I'm either going to spend time to fix it or money to buy my way out of it. And I'll tell you that right now. When I'm at work, my wife and I both work from home, and we both have a very, very obviously nerd, fast, high-speed internet service. Okay, and it's very, very fast. And I have a wireless system that wirelessly sends that throughout my entire house, and then I'm wired into a network system. We had just a little power spark, little power fluctuation. Shut down my router, shut down my modem, my computer reset. I lost everything. I was on a phone call with New York at the time. I lost everything. My phone calls go through the internet. Everything is through the internet. My wife lost network. I lost everything. And it was down for about 25 minutes because it took time for everything to come back up, my router to all reset, my computer to all reload in and re-get everything. I was down for 25 minutes. That's 25 minutes. I'm not productive. I went out and I'm thinking $400 or $500 on one of those little battery backup things. Found one on Amazon for $50. It's on there right now. It's a 425 watt battery backup for $50. I bought it, took it home, connected everything up into it, and sat. And then I said, okay, that's never going to happen again. Last week, my wife had turned on a space heater. Well, she didn't realize that when you turn on a space heater and you have a hair dryer going and the dryer's going, the trip the breaker. Everything shut down all over the house. My computer's still plugging away. I'm on my call. My computer's going. My monitors are going. Everything. And my wife comes in and goes, "The power's out." "Oh, the power's not out." I said, "Yours is." And I'm ready to go. $50 was the best investment I could have possibly made because I'm never worried about something stupid like that again. And it was, it was a good, simple, easy to do. You know, it's just a little box, looks like a toaster, and then you plug like 4 things into it, just like a 6-way power strip. I told probably 12 people about that thing now. Just going, you know, shit, my power goes out all the time and my router resets and I have to do this. Plug the stuff that you don't want to lose power to into a battery. "Well, I have a generator." I said, "Well, how long does that to come on?" "Like 15 seconds. Well, your router's still going to go down and you still have to wait for everything to come back up. But if you have a little battery backup, it never shuts down. It's perfect. So anyway, so again, that's all matters. Yeah. Oh, I'll show you. As a matter of fact, it was called an ACP, APC, excuse me. It's if you do battery backup on Amazon, you'll see it. It's an APC. They're actually on sale for 50 right now. They're normally 60, but it's an APC and it's a 425 volt, 425 amp. And how many of you were in my class 2 weeks ago in my Apple class? Couple? Okay. I will spend 10, 15 seconds on this. Chargers have changed. Anybody who has a new iPhone knows that you don't get a charger anymore. Samsung, you don't get a charger anymore. What the heck? Chargers have changed. They're not just about, does it fit my computer anymore, or does it fit my phone anymore, or whatever. Now chargers are based on wattage, which is how much power can be pushed into a device, and amperage, which how long can that sustain. Okay, phones are based on milliamperage, but most phones charge about 5 watts, which means it takes about 4 hours to charge your phone, 4 or 5 hours. All the new iPhones since the 10 can take faster charging. All the Samsungs since like the 7 can take faster charging. Faster just means not only can they take a 5 watt, they can take a 10 watt, 15 watt, and they keep going up. The most right now, there's a phone out there made by OnePlus. It's 100 watt, which means you could take it as long as you have a 100 watt plus charger. And that's the difference, is buying chargers that put out more wattage. You can plug in a 100 plus watt charger into this phone, and from dead, it'll be fully charged in 20 minutes. Completely fully charged in 20 minutes, and still last 2 days. Not kidding. That's where all battery technology is going. That's why the electric car services are getting where they're going. Because it used to be when you wanted to charge your Tesla, you wait for a 3-hour charge. So I'm gonna, plug in my Tesla and I'm gonna go sit in a restaurant, which is why all those charging stations are by restaurants. Did you ever notice that? Do you guys ever notice the new charging station over by the Walmart? As soon as you pull in, notice it's right by a couple restaurants. Walmart did that smart. Anyway, on what? On the charging? You do. It's normally with an app. So the question is, how do you know what you're charging when you plug what you're being charged when you plug your car in? It's on an app. So either and most electric cars, 90% of electric cars out there have apps that connect to your phone. You pull up your phone, it tells you what charge is on your car, it tells you where the nearest charger is. No, it's either built into your car, because your car has all the charging stations and it has all that. It tells you how much charge the car has, how far you can get to it. It'll even tell you, if you don't plug it in right now, you're not going to get where you're going because there's not a charging station close enough to you. So it tells you everything. If you went on a cross country on a Tesla, it would tell you, you need to drive this far and stop here, charge a car, drive this far, stop here, charge a car. It depends on the plan you're paying for. Most of them you're paying for about half of electricity, but most of them, like when the first Tesla people came out, they get charging for free for life. They ended that really quick because they realized that's going to cost them money. But now I think it's somewhere you can pay a monthly fee that I think it's like $50 a month and it's unlimited, or you pay like $10 a month to access the services and it's like 15 cents an amp or some or watt or whatever it is. Yes, it's connected to your car and your phone has communication. So because your phone is actually what's taking it and saying, charge me here. This is how you have to charge me. When you have an electric vehicle, you have to be connected. You cannot be living off the grid with an electric vehicle. The new Ford F-150 Lightning, one of the most advanced, almost the most advanced, because the new Mustang, which I can't stand the look of, but I think it's one of the coolest cars out there. It's just, that's not a Mustang, it's an SUV. It's just, yeah. Anyway, but the Ford truck, one of the most advanced vehicles on the planet. That thing can go almost 600 miles on a charge. And if you realize your car can normally do 3 or maybe 4, this can do 600 miles on a charge. It can power your house. You actually get a Ford, what's called a Ford wall. They're expensive, like 20 grand, but you get a Ford wall. You can plug it in to charge your truck. If your power goes out, your truck charges your house, your entire house, everything. And for like 48 hours, you'll get complete power. There are people in hurricane areas that have invested specifically in this design because their car powers their home and vice versa. And if you're solar or any other off-grid power, that powers that wall and charges your car for free, basically. But to your question specifically, how much does it cost out there? It's nominal. It's about half the cost of gas, right around there. It's about half the cost of filling up. Like if you were to go fill up your tank in gas and it's like, well, now $50, and you were to do it in electric, 20, $25 and give you a full charge, unless you have one of the plans that reduces the cost. Very exactly, yes. Yeah, and basically who you're paying, you're not paying the charging company, you're not charging this, you're paying the electric company, whatever grid you're on. So you're paying SRP to jump up and get electricity. Just that charging station has an agreement with them that they're going to give a portion of whatever they do off these charging stations to SRP because they pull such a load. Tesla charging superstations are probably more prevalent than just about anybody else out there. And those Tesla has programs that you can either pay a monthly fee and get unlimited, or however you want to work that. There's a lot of different options. Toyota, for example, you have to pay $10 a month to be able to use your key fob. Not kidding. I'm not joking. I didn't make that up. There's 3 cars Toyota sells right now that you have to pay them $10 a month in a subscription fee to be able to use your wireless key fob. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Now, to be fair, it's not wireless like your existing key fob. It works anywhere in the world, but still, it seems. And something else I didn't know, all charging stations are intercompatible. They do not all have the same plug. Every single car has its own plug, but just about every car manufacturer sells adapter plugs, and you just keep them in your trunk. So you pull up to any station, you put the adapter plug and plug it in. So all work everywhere. You don't have to find a Tesla station. You don't have to find a Rivian. The Fry's up there on Deer Valley, they've got a charging station right up there, completely different. Blink, I think it's called. So they are interchangeable. The problem is the lowest price electric car right now, Tesla line, 50 grand. That truck fully loaded, 90. No. Oh, it saves money on gas. Well, great. I don't have any more money for anything else. I want food. So, but yes, I'm going to tell people if you like early adoption, yeah, jump into that for an idea. Otherwise, normally, if you're going to be getting a new car and you want to look at that technology, look at hybrids because they're going to be a better option. Way less expensive than gas. They're still electric, but they still have a motor in it, so you can still use gas and you can still get there. The first Priuses out were hybrids. They still had a motor, and you'd hear the engine kick or the little motor kick on. You're like, oh, that thing's no, that's just powering the batteries. That's all that does. But electric is definitely where it's going, but the batteries have to get a lot better. And the biggest thing to know about where it's going battery is all batteries right now are lithium ion. That's what every single battery in the world right now is. Well, other than your little power batteries, those are nickel, not nickel metal hydride, but nickel cadmiums. But lithium is a finite metal resource. It's almost gone. We've maybe got until 2030, 2035 for lithium. We've already got new batteries starting right now. They're either going to be carbon based, just a new design, or it's a different metal. But there is a battery right now, MIT made it. It's a 9-volt battery. No, it's a 12-volt battery. Just like a little, almost like a plug in your thing. It takes 15 seconds to fully charge, and it lasts for a year and a half. Well, they think it's a year and a half because it hasn't died yet. So it's coming. The battery technology that is going to revolutionize the world is coming. You're not going to have gas. We're not going to need, all this other junk. The problem that I have, and without getting political, I'll just say my piece. We are nowhere near the end of the oil that we have. There is more oil in the US right now than we have used in the last 100 years, still in reserves. We're talking about how many billions of barrels of oil they have in reserves in the National Reserve, stuff like that. There's about 15 trillion gallons of oil in Oregon alone. In Oregon, there's oil everywhere. I mean, we could be completely oil independent for the next 40 years, never taking but environmentally, it's the trade-off. Is it worth it environmentally? The problem is it's always going to be there, and eventually we're not going to need it anymore. So what are we going to do with it? We're not going to mine oil when we don't need oil anymore. So we need to kind of, what we need to do, in my opinion, is find cleaner ways of burning the oil. That's my suggestion. I think we need to come up with new engine technology that burns that gas cleaner rather than worrying about the gas, because we don't care honestly about using up the gas. Once it's gone anyway. We care about what it's doing to the environment. Find better ways of burning it so it does not release that nasties. That's what catalytic converters were supposed to do, but people are stealing those now. So.
Yeah.
All righty, thank you guys so much. You have all my email. Oh, you don't. You have my stuff. If you have any question, let me know. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Ooh, let me stop the recording. Ann, did you have anything for me, hon?
No, thanks so much. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. You'll be getting more emails from me, and I'm going to see if I can send out the recording of this online and just everybody check it out and see if they like it. But thank you very much for coming, and you have a great one, okay?
Fabulous.
Take care, hon. Bye-bye.